Welcome to a new story in what we call amazing stories.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Today, we're diving deep into this incredible journey of Pablo Imhoff.
Okay, yeah.
He's this guy from Santa Tome, Argentina. And he actually, he traded a stable life as an optical technician, right, for the open road.
Wow.
Pretty crazy, huh?
Yeah.
You shared some really fascinating material about his adventures. And we're here to unpack, like, the key moments, the insights,
Yeah.
from his, decade-long nomadic journey.
Right.
Oh, hey, sorry to interrupt.
Oh, sure.
But, if you're enjoying the content, please leave a like and subscribe.
Of course. Yeah.
And also, if there's, a specific topic you want us to talk about, let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
Thank you. Let's keep going. So, let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
November 2014, right?
Right.
Pablo is 27 years old at this point, and he makes this life-altering decision.
Yeah.
He had a good job in Rosario, comfortable apartment, all the conventional trappings of a stable life. But something was missing.
Yeah, I can see that.
What was that initial spark?
Right.
That led him to just leave it all behind.
Yeah.
The material you sent over points to this, pretty significant experience.
Yeah, it's fascinating, the contrast you see here, right?
Yeah.
Between Pablo's, outward success and his inner restlessness.
Yeah.
He had the kind of stability that many people work towards, good career as an optical technician, his own place in Rosario.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yet the material, suggests this deep yearning for something more than just the routine, right?
Right.
And that pivotal experience seems to have been this really profound sense of freedom he discovered while taking motorcycle tricks on a Gilera.
That's so interesting. That feeling of freedom on those Gilera rides, it seems to have been the real turning point for him.
Yeah.
He felt like he didn't need much more than his bike.
I can see that.
A sentiment I think a lot of us can connect with,
Totally, yeah.
that pull towards something different.
Absolutely.
He also found inspiration in the early days of travel blogs and YouTube channels.
Oh, yeah.
Remember those?
Yeah, of course.
And this all kind of coalesced into his first big ambition.
Yeah.
Exploring all 23 Argentine provinces in the Falkland Islands on a motorcycle.
Yeah, exactly. You see this powerful combination here, right? Of a personal awakening, that taste of unbound exploration on his motorcycle, and the influence of these emerging online platforms
Totally.
showcasing these alternative lifestyles, these early digital nomads.
Yeah.
They provided a blueprint, a tangible vision of what was possible.
Yeah.
And that really seems to have ignited the spark for his own epic journey, right?
Yeah, his long story of nomadic adventure.
Exactly, his long story. And that initial goal of traversing all of Argentina and the Falklands, that's no small feat in itself.
No, not at all. So his first major trip, right, from 2014 to 2018,
Okay.
saw him cover Argentina and the Malvinas, right, on a 1970 Galera Gran Turismo 200.
Wow.
That's quite a vintage machine, right?
Yeah.
For such an extensive journey.
For sure.
What were some of the key experiences?
Right.
And how did he change during those first 4 years?
Yeah.
The material we have really emphasizes the beauty of Argentina and the incredible warmth of its people.
Yeah, what truly stands out is the sheer duration.
Yeah.
Almost 4 years spent exploring on this classic motorcycle.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And it wasn't just about passing through places.
Right.
He was deeply immersed, experiencing the diverse landscapes firsthand, and crucially, forging connections with the Argentinian people.
Yeah.
The consistent warmth and hospitality he encountered, the way locals opened their homes to him, appears to have been a powerful affirmation, solidifying his commitment to this new way of life and shaping the narrative of his long story.
His long story, yeah. So this period also marked the real beginning of his content creation, right?
Right.
He'd started his YouTube channel a couple of years prior,
Okay.
but it really gained traction during this time.
Makes sense.
He also wrote his first book, Cruzando Fronteras.
Wow.
And the sales of that book actually financed his next adventure in Europe.
Okay.
Now that shows remarkable resourcefulness and entrepreneurial spirit, doesn't it?
It certainly does, yeah. This highlights a crucial aspect of sustaining a long-term nomadic lifestyle. Pablo's venture into content creation wasn't just about sharing his experiences. It became like intrinsically linked to funding his ongoing travels.
Right.
The fact that his book sales directly bankrolled his European trip, it underscores like his adaptability, his business sense.
Yeah.
He effectively transformed his passion for exploration into a self-sustaining career. Yeah.
A key chapter in his long story.
His long story. Okay, so July 2018, Pablo embarks on this 3-month motorcycle trip through Europe.
Okay.
Taking in like Portugal, Spain, France, Andorra, Morocco.
Wow.
While he appreciated the history and culture, he found himself missing something.
Really?
What was that?
Yeah.
And what does it tell us about how his sense of adventure was evolving?
Right.
He specifically mentioned the absence of that chaotic factor
Oh, interesting.
that he found so unique to South America.
Okay. Yeah, what's fascinating here is this evolution in his understanding of adventure. Initially, perhaps like the allure was simply seeing new places.
Right.
But his European experience revealed like a deeper appreciation for the unpredictable nature of travel in South America.
Yeah.
That chaotic factor, as he called it.
He put it so well, right?
The well-maintained infrastructure and organized systems of Europe, while comfortable, right?
Lacked the element of surprise and the challenges that had become like integral to his adventurous spirit.
Right.
So this suggests that his long story, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't just about sightseeing,
Right.
but about like actively engaging with the unexpected, overcoming obstacles.
That's such a good point.
Yeah.
Then came El Proyecto Alaska, right? Starting January 2020. This was like an even more ambitious undertaking.
Wow.
To travel from Ushuaia, the southernmost tip of the Americas, all the way to Alaska in the north.
Wow.
And he chose a rather unconventional vehicle for this epic journey.
Really?
A 1992 Honda C90 Econo Power,
Okay.
nicknamed La Econo.
Okay, I like it.
What's so remarkable about this particular choice of motorcycle?
Yeah.
And the modifications he made, they also speak volumes about his resourcefulness.
Yeah, the selection of the Honda C90 Econo Power is indeed noteworthy.
Yeah.
It's a small, relatively low-powered bike, not typically associated with like such a massive overland expedition.
Right.
So this immediately signals like Pablo's resourcefulness.
Yeah.
And perhaps a deliberate philosophy of traveling light,
Yeah.
with only the essentials.
Yeah.
The modifications he undertook, leather saddlebags, a wooden trunk, a 12-volt outlet.
Right.
They demonstrate a practical, hands-on approach,
Yeah.
perfectly embodying the spirit of a long-distance independent traveler,
Yeah.
embarking on a long story. It really underscores that, adventure isn't about having the most sophisticated equipment,
Right.
but about ingenuity and determination.
Right. Absolutely. So then the pandemic hits in March 2020.
Wow.
Finding him in Ushuaia,
Okay.
what might have been a major setback,
Right.
actually turned into an opportunity.
Oh, okay.
The material you shared describes this year-long quarantine as, and I quote, one of the best years of my life.
Wow.
How did he manage to have such a positive experience during that time?
Right.
Of global uncertainty.
Yeah.
It seems his online community played a significant role.
Yeah, this really highlights, the unexpected turns life can take, right?
Yeah.
Especially during like a long-term endeavor.
Right.
The pandemic could have easily derailed his plans,
Totally.
but instead it provided a period of unexpected connection and consolidation.
Okay.
The material emphasizes the vital role of his online community, which had grown considerably by this point.
Right. Yeah.
This extended pause in Ushuaia allowed him to like deepen those connections,
Mm-hmm.
further develop his content,
Yeah.
and build a strong foundation of support, both emotional and perhaps even like financial,
Yeah.
that would sustain him as he continued his long story.
His long story. So resuming his journey in 2021, right?
Great.
He tackled Argentina's legendary Route of 40 from south to north before crossing into Bolivia.
Wow.
That Salar de Uyuni birthday camping trip sounds absolutely incredible.
Oh, I bet.
However, the journey wasn't without its, significant dangers.
Right, of course.
Could you highlight some of the, more extreme and potentially life-threatening situations he encountered
Uh-huh.
in Bolivia, Peru, Ecuador and Colombia.
Yeah.
That electric storm in the Puna and the altitude sickness in Aberdella Cay really stood out in the material.
Yeah, the journey through the high Andean countries, it indeed presented some very real hazards.
Yeah.
That electric storm he experienced in the Puna, as detailed in the sources, was a genuinely terrifying near-death encounter,
Wow.
illustrating the raw power of the natural environment he was navigating.
Right.
Similarly, the extreme altitude he faced in Aberdella Cay, reaching almost 5,000 meters,
Wow.
triggered severe altitude sickness,
Oh, man.
pushing his physical endurance to its absolute limit.
Wow.
These weren't just scenic routes. They were, demanding tests of his resilience and adaptability
Right.
in his ongoing long story. Yeah.
Long story. His travels through Central America also presented unique challenges, particularly in Nicaragua. What exactly happened there?
Yeah.
And how did he adapt to that unexpected hurdle?
Right.
The material mentions him being denied entry and having to completely reroute his journey.
Wow.
It really underscores like the unpredictable nature of, such an extensive overland trip.
Yeah, the incident in Nicaragua, it really highlights the geopolitical realities that long-term international travelers can encounter.
Right.
Being denied entry likely due to scrutiny of, his activities as a travel documentarian
Right.
in a politically sensitive region,
Yeah.
forced him to make significant and costly changes to his carefully planned route.
Yeah.
The fact that he had to arrange to ship his motorcycle and then fly to Honduras,
Wow.
demonstrates the scale of unexpected logistical nightmares that can arise during an epic long story like his.
His long story, yeah. Currently, the material indicates he's in the United States,
Oh, okay.
having recently spent time in Las Vegas
Wow.
and now continuing his journey northward towards Alaska.
Right.
This brings us almost to the present day, right?
Yeah.
Of this incredible multi-year endeavor.
Yes, it's quite remarkable to reflect on the sheer distance he has covered and the length of time he's been on this Alaska project from the very bottom of South America.
Yeah.
Navigating, diverse landscapes, overcoming numerous obstacles. He's now traveling through the United States with the ultimate goal of reaching Alaska seemingly within his grasp.
Yeah.
It's a powerful testament to his unwavering commitment to his long story.
His long story, yeah. So beyond just the sheer number of kilometers traveled, right?
Yeah.
What are some of the deeper insights and lessons, that Pablo has shared about this lifestyle?
Yeah.
He emphasizes that, it's not just a vacation, but a complete way of life.
Right.
Involving the constant work of content creation alongside the actual travel.
Of course, yeah.
The emotional challenges, such as dealing with solitude,
Yeah.
and constant uncertainty, also seem to have been significant for him.
Yeah, this is a crucial understanding to take away from Pablo's journey. It's not a carefree holiday.
Right.
The ongoing demands of creating content, filming, editing, sharing his experiences,
Right.
add a significant workload to his travels.
Absolutely.
He's essentially running a mobile media production.
He is, yeah.
Furthermore, the emotional impact of prolonged periods of solitude and the inherent instability of a nomadic existence,
Right.
are significant aspects of his experience, profoundly shaping his perspective on life.
Right.
And his long story.
And his long story. Okay, so looking ahead, the current goal is to reach Alaska around the middle of 2025.
Right.
Which would mark the culmination of this, roughly 40,000 kilometer journey
right.
on Lake Kano.
Mm-hmm.
But what about beyond Alaska?
Yeah, what happens then?
Right. The material suggests he's already considering what might come next, emphasizing the importance of listening to his own body.
Right.
Yeah. His intuition.
It appears that reaching Alaska will be a major milestone.
Yeah.
The successful completion of this particular chapter in his in his long story.
This long story, yeah.
However, the sources indicate that Pablo isn't necessarily viewing it as the definitive end
Right.
of his nomadic lifestyle. His emphasis on paying attention to, his physical and emotional well-being
Right.
suggests a more organic approach to future plans,
Right.
leaving open the possibility of new adventures in different forms or directions.
Yeah, that makes sense. Pablo Imhoff's story is a powerful illustration of what it means to pursue a dream, right?
Absolutely.
And embrace the unknown. From a stable career as an optical technician to a nomadic adventurer traversing continents on a small motorcycle,
Right.
his journey is full of like those, aha moments,
Yeah.
and really shows that a different path is indeed possible. What stands out to you as the most compelling aspect of his transformation in his travels?
For me, the most compelling aspect is the sheer courage of his initial decision
Yeah.
and his steadfast dedication to that choice
Yeah.
over more than a decade.
Yeah.
He didn't just like entertain the idea of a different life, you know?
Right.
He actively dismantled his existing one to pursue it,
Why? Yeah.
embracing all the uncertainties and hardships that came along the way.
Yeah.
His long story is a potent reminder of the transformative power of following one's true passions.
Yeah, that's so true. His commitment to documenting and sharing his experiences through YouTube and his book,
Right.
not only provided like crucial funding for his ongoing adventures, but also fostered this global community around his travels.
Oh, of course.
It really highlights the power of connection and the human desire to inspire others. It makes you think about the significant role storytelling plays in these kinds of life-altering pursuits.
Absolutely. His storytelling evolved into more than just a record of his travels.
Right.
It became a vital bridge, connecting him with a supportive network
Right, yeah.
and generating the income necessary to continue his journey.
Yeah,
It underscores how sharing your long story can not only sustain your own adventure, but also like deeply resonate with and encourage countless others to consider their own possibilities.
that's so true. The contrast between like the predictable life he once had and the incredibly unpredictable nature of his current existence, it's so stark.
Yeah.
His ability to constantly adapt to challenges from mechanical breakdowns and, unexpected border closures to even navigating a global pandemic while on the road is truly remarkable.
It really is, yeah.
What can we as listeners really learn from his resilience?
Pablo's resilience offers a valuable and practical lesson that unexpected obstacles are an inevitable part of any significant undertaking,
Yeah.
any meaningful long story. His ability to view setbacks not as insurmountable roadblocks, but as opportunities to learn, to adapt, and to find creative solutions,
Ooh.
is key. It highlights the importance of mental flexibility and a proactive problem-solving mindset,
Yeah.
when venturing down unconventional paths.
Totally. Pablo's philosophy, those deep-seated dreams,
Yeah.
they often take root early in life.
Right.
And the importance of daring to pursue them without being paralyzed by the what ifs is such a powerful message.
Absolutely.
His story really invites us to reflect on our own like long-held aspirations
Right. Yeah.
and consider what small steps or perhaps even larger leaps we might be able to take towards them.
Precisely. His journey serves as a potent reminder that those early dreams we hold, often carry significant meaning. The fear of the unknown and the endless what ifs can be incredibly limiting,
Absolutely.
But Pablo's long story vividly demonstrates the richness, the challenges, and ultimately the profound fulfillment that can come from daring to step outside the familiar and pursue those deeply felt desires.
Yeah, that's so true. This deep dive into Pablo Imhoff's epic journey
Mm-hmm.
leaves us with a compelling thought, right?
Right.
What long story might be waiting to unfold in your own life, right?
Yeah. What is it?
If you dared to embrace a different kind of adventure, whatever that might look like for you,
Yeah.
perhaps his experiences will spark some reflection on your own path and the exciting possibilities that might lie just ahead.
I hope so.